What happens if your kids grow up, move out from home, and you realize you never spent much time with them when they were young? That's the same thing as time freedom, spend time with your kids, but it's now the reversal of 20 years have passed, looking in hindsight and realizing, I wish I could go back, but you just can't. That gap is now the opportunity cost. You get to imagine an outcome you don't want, feel it, it hurts. Oh, maybe you cry, maybe you really feel how regretful you are about the choices you made or didn't make. So you're living in this 20 years from now body and feeling. It's scary, it's a nightmare. Snap back into your body now. I can still correct this. So, I mean, if we want to, if it's just the four of us, then we can kind of have a bit more of like an open chit chat on this call. However, I am going to make double check if you guys submitted some questions in here as well. And then if there was anything specific, we can go from there. But yeah, I would love for each of you to like give a bit of an update too. You guys shared some stuff here. So we'll go with, so I tried some new strategies with reaching out to health business owners and health conscious people and got amazing responses. Awesome. Love to hear that. Feeling like things aren't happening fast enough, but I've just changed my audience. So I think that's understandable. Yeah, it's a transition for sure. I'm now focusing on people who are doing well and just want to add in the products or income streams, but how do I create urgency? It was easy before when people were moving away from pain, but now my new audience is moving towards pleasure and I'm finding it difficult to get them to move fast. Great. So let's definitely talk about that. You have to remember that no matter who you are, what demographic, what audience, whatever you want to call it, everybody has pain. The pain just changes. Make sense?
Yep.
So you have to now learn what technically defines pain for your new audience. What is the thing that they want to move away from? So in some cases, pain of your previous avatar was around like lack of money. It's a lot of lack and scarcity based pain. And when you look at people's motivation, it's more driven by avoiding pain than it is by gaining pleasure. So now your new audience is thinking too much around like, this is just more of what I already have, right? Like if you already make money, it's just more money. It's not that motivating. Make sense?
Yep.
So this is why urgency is going to drop because they're like, I'll get around to it. But like my life's pretty good as it is. I don't really need to do it right now. That's kind of, or they have such a busy life, busy schedule, lots of things on their plate that they're just not going to prioritize it. So the big thing that really motivates, like, is your audience parents or families or have children, or is it like, it doesn't matter if they do or they don't?
It doesn't matter if they do or they don't. They're just doing well, either in their profession, like a career or the business they're running, or they're already health focused and they've already incorporated in so many healthy habits that they feel like things are really good.
Yeah, it's a very different audience if you're focusing on the health side of it as to why they should get the product versus if it's an income career, they're just comfortable middle class, upper middle class, whatever, and it's to get more abundance or freedom or whatever. So those are two kind of different groups. And also the age demographic and whether or not they want to have a family or children is also a really big distinction between what you would classify as pain or not pain, if that makes sense. Like if you think about a demographic of someone who's married or in a relationship and they have a great life, but they would like to have a family or like to have children, that's a specific persona to speak to because you have this window of now until baby, right? Make it count, make it happen. Now, if that's not the case, or they are just have zero interest in children at all, and they already know this, that's okay. But the pain, once again, is completely different. So I think for you, you probably should narrow it down, be a little bit more specific, a little bit more clear, or else you will feel your message is a bit muddy and your ability to focus on the pain will be this or that or that. And it's trying to cater to a little bit too much. So think about that. You don't have to decide right this second, but the clearer you are on this will be super helpful. When it comes to people that have money, have credit, technically they follow the rules. that their parents or society expects from them, gotten themselves to feeling like they're better off than most people their age or whatever, if you're going to do the comparison thing. A really big thing for them is on the fact that it's a status play. It's kind of like having the latest iPhone. People don't need the latest iPhone, but why do they buy it? It's a status thing. They want everybody to know they got the newest, greatest, and their shit's better than their neighbors. Like that's deep down what drives a lot of people. And sometimes they're not even aware that that is what drives them, is that status game. So K8 is kind of like this. It's like having the very best. You know what I mean? Like if you already are biohacking and health conscious and cold plunging and sauna and workout and tracking your macros and getting your steps in, and you're really like motivated by being your best self, then like you cannot be that without a K8, like period. Right? So this is another thing where it's like you've prioritized so many things that can help you with your health, 5 to 10% max. Like think about the impact of sauna versus not sauna, or the impact of cold plunge versus not cold plunge. Sure, it helps, but you're optimizing the final 10% in the 100% game. It's not the main thing. You're optimizing the last little bits. Like think about it like this. Someone doesn't strength train. Someone doesn't drink the correct water or enough water. They don't sleep right. They don't eat right. And they get themselves a red light therapy. The fuck's it gonna do for you? I'm sorry to tell you, it ain't doing much. Now, if you've done all those other things for a while consistently and you've gotten yourself amazing results, and then you go, what's the final little thing that I can optimize and add something else? Sure, we can discuss those types of things that are super popular in like the biohacker health optimization space. So the good news is that if they've invested money, which all of those things are pretty expensive from how you look at it, a sauna, cold plunge, these are all thousands of dollars each. They're already buying that. That's a really good sign, because now you can tell them about Anespa, K8, Ukon. It's tax deduction. It has some business components to it. You know what I mean? So it almost like they're a target audience for this stuff because they've already seen the value in spending that amount of money on other things that are considered cutting edge, and not everybody does it, even though they're trending and whatnot. See what I mean? So, from a performance standpoint, like high performance, you need to have these products to even have a chance to keep up with everyone else that's doing the things that you're doing. So, it's a status game. Now, if you're talking business now, not so much health and product, the real pain point is opportunity cost, because they're only looking at where they've come from to where they are. And technically, based on that information, they've done well for themselves. They've worked their way up corporate ladder. They've got some promotions. They got a house. They got cars. They're good. So they're technically like, where I started from to where I am, I've come a long way. And that's not like it's taking away anything from them. It's true. That's awesome. Like, good for you. But staying there for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what's the cost of you staying there versus making this pivot, this adjustment, or adding something like this business model into the mix? That's their pain. Their pain is not on what they currently experience. Their pain is on the future, looking back, realizing that the freedom they could have had at the youth that they could have had it, the age, like the energy, the vitality, the pain-free body. Just like things are so different every decade. Like if you're free at 30 versus free at 60, just think about the opportunity cost of those 30 years. Even though you could have exactly the same time, location, and financial freedom at 30 versus 60, your experience won't be the same. You're limited just naturally, in certain ways, not necessarily in all ways, but your 30-year-old self and your 60-year-old self physically, mentally, emotionally is going to be different. So we want to help people realize that the cost of inaction, the cost of waiting is so steep that they got to take action and do this now, right? Same thing around opportunity cost for the product. You can have a whole angle about this as well, which is it's really hard to quantify it unless you go and do blood work and get a lot of testing done on yourself of what is the cost of not having the prevention of drinking Kangen water when it comes to the things you may experience health wise in the future, like from insulin, diabetes related stuff like this, cancers in the body, arthritis in the body, all kinds of different problems that you may not have today. But in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, if you don't have this water, you're more likely to get those issues than this. Now, of course, we have to be careful how we say this with compliance related stuff. But once again, it's you think you're good now because you don't have this like crystal ball that says if you keep doing what you're doing today, you will have this health problem in 15 years from now. There's no way for us to be able to tell that or predict that, which is tricky for all of us, even with Kangen water or without Kangen water. So these are the things that make someone go, okay, is it worth it to not get these products today when it's 70 to 75% of the health equation? Even though I've already spent money on the 5% red light thing, sauna thing, cold plunge thing, which is the same amount of income. So I've already justified spending 5 grand on a sauna or whatever, sometimes they're even more than that I'm going to use for what, 15, 30 minutes a few times a week, if that, for most people, average person. If you use it every single day, like congratulations, but most people don't. What about drinking the water? You going to do that for, 5 sips every few days? Or are you going to drink liters every day and cook with it and clean with it and bathe in it? Like, you know what I mean? It's completely different in terms of how often and frequently water matters in your life versus these gadgets and gizmos and biohacking things that they've already spent money on. So technically, you got them in a trap because any type of bullshit excuse they have around not doing the Kangen water, you've already proven it that you're willing to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars for something that impacts your health 1 to 5% that you use a few times a week for 15 minutes instead of every day, all day sipping and drinking it and getting value and benefits from it. So just from positioning it that, they'll be like, you're right. Like, I should get one. So it should be easy to sell it to health conscious people on the product alone because their buying patterns and their spending has already proven that A, they justify it, B, they can afford it, and it doesn't even come with anywhere remotely the same type of upside value and benefits as these products do in their life. Now, also, we talked about this a little bit last time we spoke around like operators, if they're running different types of businesses and whatnot, and like how that compares to the exit strategy and whatnot that is possible with an Enagic. So you layer that conversation into this conversation and you have a really powerful stack. But the thing that you got to really spend some time on is knowing the season that your audience is in, which makes certain types of pain more relevant than other seasons. Like someone in their early 30s has different pain points and priorities than someone in their 50s. Someone who wants to have children in the near future, that's part of their why, part of their vision. That's what they're looking forward to, setting themselves up with their time or their finances or whatever they feel would help them with being family. Like me, like that was such a big driving force for me. And during that season of my life, I was spending money on anything that could further help me achieve that goal. Like I was just like an automatic yes. If you were able to position me something where it's like, this is going to help you create more freedom, help you create more leverage, and be present with your kids when they're born, take my money. Like I got no objections because it was just so hyper relevant to my highest pain point and the solution I was willing to spend money on because it was such a close match. Does that make sense what I'm saying? But now if those same kinds of products or services or ads were positioned to me, I wouldn't even flinch because I already have created that. My pain is now different. So this is what you got to get clear on.
Okay.
Do you have an idea of what your ideal version is if you stack these few things around health and wellness, future goals, family, children? Like, what is your kind of ideal demographic?
I kind of see them going in separate directions where it's like there's the health and wellness business owner that wants it for their health and like for their clients and things like that, but not necessarily the leveraged income aspect yet. They want to incorporate this in for their health. They'll understand that it's like the foundational thing that they're missing.
Yeah.
But then I love using Facebook custom friends lists. And here's my real estate agents, here's my teachers, here's my sales people, whatever, like, and targeting them with the leveraged income aspect of things. And then the health side of it, like it makes it a no-brainer, but it's almost doing opposite things for the two different audiences. Like one wants the health and then eventually leverage income. One wants the leverage income. And yeah, the health just makes sense. Does that make sense?
That's fine if you build everything out through ads and automation. It wouldn't be as fine if you were doing it organically through your own content. That's where the confusion comes from.
Okay.
You don't want your audience to feel seen half the time, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But if
Mhm.
you're running ads to a funnel and a webinar and all those kind of pieces that are all continuing to speak to where they're at from that angle and it's very consistent, then it can work fine.
Okay. And when we talk about like people who are moving away from pain versus moving towards pleasure, I understand that I need to dig in deeper to what the pain is of the ones who are doing well. And there's different types of people that some crave, like you're like this, I'm like this, like we want to be preventative. We don't want to wait till a crisis happens. But some people, things are good and then a crisis happens and then they'll look at their health or their income. Like where and how do I find the people that are so focused on prevention?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think when you kind of go deeper, why do people have the prevention focus is because of trauma and lived life experience. In my case, I'm hyper focused on prevention because I lost my dad to cancer at 54, and he had zero prevention mentality or care in the world, or if he wasn't feeling well, like he was someone who'd be the tough guy and not go to the doctor, not go to the hospital and be like, I'm okay, I don't need to go get a test or this kind of mentality. Whereas I'm the opposite. I have zero symptoms and I'm on purpose going to go get tests. I want the data to validate how I feel. And actually, recently I had a scan, a pre-nuvo scan, they're called, and they did find something that isn't like crazy alarming, but it's something I have zero symptoms of, and now I can address it and I can make some adjustments where way before it's actually a problem. And I'm 40, and these people literally are like, most people don't even come in here until their 50s for these scans. So I'm like 10 plus years ahead of even caring. And now I can make these small adjustments without crisis, without a panic, with zero symptoms. Like I feel amazing. I have nothing that would be connected to that, what they, found in the scan. And I'm so happy. Like, you know what I mean? And was I nervous to go do that? Yeah, of course. I had the emotions of like, I'm excited and I'm nervous for what comes back and all this kind of thing. But after the scan, I actually have a sense of relief because a lot of the serious big things are not there. So I'm like, and now I'm going to go once a year just to be proactive. So this is like a lot of where I think this kind of comes from is that the second generation after crisis typically becomes opposite of being prevention. So this is something you can incorporate in your message. Have you lost your family or your parents or your spouse to a serious health issue? Did that make you reconsider how you want to approach your own health? And maybe that's why you're interested in the health, the wellness, the biohacking, the all these things to just increase your chances of staying healthy longer rather than taking your health for granted and just kind of winging it.
I love that.
So I think that's where that comes from. And then when we talk about pain and pleasure, here's how you look at it. So Tony Robbins had a whole training on this, which is where I first learned about this, where the human condition is the when we talk about living in fear, we're living in fear of what could go wrong if we did something, like the risk of starting a business. What happens if we lose our money? What happens if this happens? So we're afraid of that happening, right? Now, opportunity cost is the opposite. It's like, if I did this, what's the best case scenario? If I made it happen, right? And then all of a sudden you have this contrast. Worst case scenario doesn't work out, but what's best case scenario? Best case scenario is often not even considered by most people because the fear stops them from thinking anything positive could happen. But once you have best case scenario and worst case scenario, you have contrast between the two opposites. You're like, this is the worst, worst, worst that could happen. But best case, which usually isn't even the best case because you can't even fathom it with your imagination. Best case is even better. But let's just say, like, you really stretch yourself to be like, I'm a millionaire, and you're not right now, right? So, like, I make $1 million a year, which means this, which means this, which means this. Oh my gosh, my life is so incredible. Worst case scenario, I lose 10 grand or 20 grand on this thing, and I have the same job, the same schedule, the same life. Life kind of fucking goes on. Let's be honest. That's worst case scenario. That's not how people look at it because they don't have an abundance mindset, but that's really the truth, right? That's the gap. So then when we talk about avoiding pain, or gaining pleasure. Most people that are doing ads for Enagic and stuff, they're always talking about time freedom, location freedom, travel the world, spend time with your kids. These are all gain pleasure ways of communicating. This is the pleasure you receive when you succeed in the business. This is the outcome, the results, right?
Yep.
And people are like, ah, get rich quick scheme. They just brush it off because they're like, they don't understand that that happens after the work. That happens after you've earned it. Those are the outcomes that are the pleasure that you get to experience for doing the hard things first, right? But if you take those exact same things of time freedom, location freedom, spend time with your kids, whatever, and you now flip it and you describe it differently, what happens if your kids grow up, move out from home, and you realize you never spent much time with them when they were young? That's the same thing as time freedom, spend time with your kids, but it's now the reversal of 20 years have passed, looking in hindsight and realizing, I wish I could go back, but you just can't. That gap is now the opportunity cost. You get to imagine an outcome you don't want, feel it, it hurts. Oh, maybe you cry, maybe you really feel how regretful you are about the choices you made or didn't make. So you're living in this 20 years from now body and feeling. It's scary, it's a nightmare. Snap back into your body now. I can still correct this. That's powerful. To go into the future, live something in your imagination you don't want, come back and realize the choices you can make today could take you in a new direction in the future. That is literally one of the most powerful ways to create a reality is to kind of be like, what if it was this versus this? Come back to now and you get a new opportunity to make different choices. But most people don't operate this way. They just go, ah, it's fine. It's not important. It's okay. My kids will understand. I see them on the weekends. It's not a big deal. That's what everybody does. All these justifications and excuses to then one day they're, let's say their kid is getting married. They're walking the person down the aisle and it just all hits them. Literally 30 years, all the flashbacks, all the memories, all the times you weren't there, all the times you missed the dance class, all the times you weren't around, the trips you didn't take, the excuses you made, the business trips that were more important, blah, 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 blah. And it all just hits you and you go, I fucked up. And now you got to live with that because you also can't really admit it to anybody. What are you going to admit it to your daughter who just got married on her wedding day and ruin her day? No, you're going to sit with that, keep it quiet, not tell anybody. It eats you alive, ruins your health. You get cancer from that, etc., etc. Like this is very common stuff. So if we can try to paint this picture and the person goes, "Oh my gosh, you're right, but today I'm 35 or 40, I'm not 65 or 70. I can go in this new direction based on this realization I had today." That's pain imagined that gets brought back to now and then pain avoided with a new set of actions and choices. This is how you get through to people that are not broke, desperate, lack, scarcity, because they're so caught up in it's good enough that they can't imagine how much better it could be. And this is literally like the majority of people out there who think they've made it and they're successful. This is who I'm describing right now. And it's the audience that doesn't really get marketed to a lot in this way because everybody kind of markets to the people that are struggling, the lower class status people. But when you can like really get through to the people that think they got it going on, whew, they're quick at making decisions. They have resources, they have credit cards, they can pull the trigger real fast. They don't need to sit there and dwell on it or save up or all this other stuff. So if you can crack the code to that audience, you will make crazy bank, crazy sales. And the health and wellness space is awesome to sell units. Just don't necessarily bank on a lot of duplication.